Theories that will keep you up at night. Hey everyone, it's Alexa again. Welcome back to another video. You can go on living your life the way you've been living, or you can hear about all the craziest, out-of-the-box conspiracy theories out there. Maybe you'll laugh it off, maybe your view of reality and the future will change. But before we get into today's video, make sure that you're subscribed and ring the bell so that you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Out of time. You may think that time is subjective and infinite, but physicists say this is not the case. Some are saying that time is actually slowing down. We all have heard the universe is expanding at an accelerating rate, but what does that have to do with time? To answer this, we look to string theory, which suggests that our universe sits on the surface of a membrane. Membranes have different dimensions. Ours has 3 spatial dimensions and 1 time dimension. The theory suggests that our time dimension is turning into a spatial dimension, and if it transforms all the way, we could live in a 4D world where time doesn't exist. What the aliens think. Is there extraterrestrial life? Even the most educated scientists don't know for sure. Stephen Hawking warned that we shouldn't try to make contact with aliens because if they are more advanced than us, they will try and conquer and defeat us. Carl Sagan said if aliens do exist, then the first thing they will see of humanity is Hitler. That's because Hitler's opening speech for the 1936 Olympics was the first signal broadcast in history to break past Earth's atmosphere. What impression do you think that would leave? We'd rather not think about it. Look to the sky. The chemtrail conspiracy theory states that the government is spraying harmful chemicals via airplane engines. When you look up in the sky, you have most likely seen airplanes leave white stripes against the blue background. People who adhere to the chemtrail theory believe the chemicals sprayed into the air could be anything from a way to control the human population, psychological manipulation, weather modification, and other insane, scary stuff. Scientists, on the other hand, assure everyone that these lines come from the condensation of aircraft engines. The Fermi Paradox. Enrico Fermi was an Italian physicist who created the world's first nuclear reactor. The paradox named after him is about the contradiction of the lack of evidence and the high probability estimates that aliens exist in the Milky Way. The Fermi Paradox is named after Fermi because of a conversation between him and 3 other physicists. When discussing UFO reports and faster-than-light travel, Fermi posed the question, where is everybody? It's an excellent question to ask. In the Milky Way galaxy alone, there are billions of stars like our Sun. Each of those solar systems should have Earth-like planets, which means there should be civilizations out there. Many of these solar systems are older than ours, meaning the civilizations would be more advanced. If this is the case, why hasn't anyone come to Earth yet? Miss American Pie. Don McLean's Bye Bye Miss American Pie is an American rock classic. Who would have thought that this song would point to a satanic communist takeover of the US? Don McLean confirmed that the song was about things heading in the wrong direction. Conspiracy theorists have taken that statement to a whole new level. One part of the theory suggests that it's about the destruction of America, adding on that American Pie hints at protests and violent uprisings. Some think the line, "The 3 men I admire the most," is about Martin Luther King, JFK, and Bobby Kennedy. Another line, "The church bells were broken," meant to some people that Satanists were taking over. The communist part is linked to the line about Lenin and Marx. Those who reject this theory argue the meaning is as simple as McLean stated it was. The Big Rip. We mentioned earlier that the universe is rapidly expanding. Physical cosmology has an answer as to what will happen if the worlds continue to do this. The answer is the Big Rip. In the hypothetical situation that the universe expands too much, this could mean every part of space-time will tear apart. For this to happen, it would need to include a type of dark energy that is continuously and limitlessly increasing. Physicists refer to this as phantom energy. Don't worry though, the collapse of the universe won't happen for another 22 billion years or so. The Crown Prince Dracula? When someone is a member of one of the most famous families in the world, they are subject to a conspiracy theory or two. Prince Charles is no exception. Many people believe that he is a vampire. It all stems from when the prince appeared on Romania's National Tourist Office ad in 2011. During this promotion, he revealed that he was distantly related to Vlad the Impaler, the figure who inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula. In 2017, Romania offered Prince Charles the honorific title of Prince of Transylvania because of this relation. Who made Stonehenge? One of the biggest mysteries behind Stonehenge is how it was made. Stonehenge dates back to around 3001 BC as far as historians can tell. How did ancient peoples construct something that many of us think would require modern technology? The inability to answer that question is what leads many to believe that aliens must be behind its construction. If this is true, then at least maybe the first thing they ever witnessed from humanity wasn't Hitler's speech in the Olympics, right? Moon landing hoax. Chances are you've heard that there are people who think the moon landing never happened. There are a handful of conspiracy theories behind the idea that humanity's journey to the moon was faked. All of the 6 crewed landings between 1969 to 1973 are allegedly a big hoax. In 1976, a book came out entitled We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle. Bill Kaysing, a former U.S. Navy officer, wrote and self-published the book. 20 years before the release of his book, Kaysing worked for Rocketdyne, a rocket engine design company. People who think the moon landings never happened also claim that Stanley Kubrick directed the space footage showed on television. The dark side of the moon. Humans can only see one side of the moon because the moon rotates on its axis at the same rate it orbits the Earth. All the space probes sent for lunar landings have not made it to this part of the moon because communication cuts out. Many people call it the dark side of the moon. However, light from the sun does reach this region, so it's more accurately the far side of the moon. The moon wasn't always this way, though. Astronomers say that at one time, the dark side or far side of this natural satellite was visible from our planet because its axis was spinning faster billions of years ago. What awaits us in this unexplored region? Understandably, some people believe that aliens may be hiding here. The phantom time hypothesis. Herbert Illig introduced the idea of the phantom hypothesis in 1991. It describes how the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII essentially rewrote history. Illig claims the 3 men fabricated the Anno Domini system so that they would live in the year AD 1000. Doing so helped legitimize Otto III's claim to the throne. Illig believes the years from 614 to 911 were all faked. To further contribute to this claim, Illig says the 3 had documents forged and altered narratives. If this is true, that means that the king of the Franks, Charlemagne, didn't even exist. Obama controls the weather. Some of you may laugh at the idea that former US President Barack Obama controls the weather. No matter what you think of him politically, you have to admit that the idea of anyone controlling natural elements isn't very believable. However, conspiracy theorists stand by this claim. When it came to major political scandals, theorists say that the Obama administration needed a way to pull the focus away from the White House. As a result, the administration created the Moore tornado, which took place in 2013 and measured a mile wide. Upon seeing how well Obama and friends respond to the natural disaster, it would secure his reelection. The Cannibal Queen. Queen Elizabeth II is now 93 years old. She must have very knowledgeable physicians and nutritionists under her employment. Not many of her predecessors made it to such an old age. Some people have suggested that her diet is a little more sinister than the world may have thought. Did it ever occur to you that the Queen of England could be a cannibal? It has to others. British historian Hubert Humdinger once said that Elizabeth Windsor must eat human flesh to be so vivacious. Humdinger also reported that there was a serviceman at Windsor Castle that found body parts in the Queen's freezer. Hopefully, no one ever really finds out if this is true. But can you imagine what people desperately fighting the process of aging would do? Before the Big Bang. Stephen Hawking solidified the Big Bang theory decades ago. Before his passing in 2018, he announced what he believed a pre-Big Bang world was like. When asked what was there before there was anything, Hawking replied with something called the no-boundary proposal. This proposal maintains that the universe has no boundary. With the universe expanding, that means there was a point when it was tiny. Once upon a time, these vast worlds were condensed into one small subatomic ball known as the singularity. In there, all laws of physics cease to exist. All that you would have found is heat and energy. Time did not exist there either. Hawking says that the Big Bang didn't come from nothing. From humankind's perspective, it may seem that way because of how we perceive time. The lizard people. From Stephen Hawking's idea of the birth of the universe to lizard people. You've got to love the range of theories there are in this world. You might have heard that in 2008, lizard people was somehow included on the Minnesota midterm ballot. Yeah, this theory that involves reptilian humanoids is related to politics. New Age philosopher David Icke explains that these lizards can shapeshift into people and that world leaders such as the Clintons, Bob Hope, and Queen Elizabeth are all lizard people. In 2013, public policy polling reported that at least 4% of Americans believe in human lizards and that 7% were unsure. Venus on Earth. Let's take a moment to give you an idea of what living conditions would be like on Venus. Venus, because of its thick atmosphere, traps more heat from the sun than the closest planet to the sun, Mercury. Temperatures can reach over 820 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to melt lead. Stephen Hawking cautioned that if nothing is done to reverse the effects of climate change, Earth is in danger of turning into a giant hothouse similar to Venus. Many scientists have rejected this claim, arguing that it's impossible. Now that is a lot of different ideas to take in. Let's hope you're not overwhelmed yet. Before we reveal the top spot, we have a question for you. What is a revelation you had that changed your view of the world? Do you have any other strange theories you heard about or ones you believe? Let us know in the comments below. 1. Life is a simulation. The simulation hypothesis is something we all probably considered before. For anyone sure that we don't live in a computer simulation, it looks like the mainstream masters of science are against you. Even Elon Musk said this could be possible. Neil deGrasse Tyson agrees and states that the odds of us living in a simulation is 50-50. Philosopher Nick Bostrom published a paper in 2003 that explained if civilizations older and more technologically advanced than us exist, then they most likely created simulated realities with AI figures that don't know they're robots or are not aware that they're living in a program. Bostrom says if aliens existed long before humanity, then we are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. So, welcome to the Matrix.